Hello, welcome to the first of the three lectures or three audio recordings on the lecture on financial economics or personal finance. First of all, we need to discuss what investing is. Investing is buying something that has a value, a market value, also known as a commodity, to hold it for the long term in order to improve the future financial well-being of an individual, of oneself. So we buy now, hold it for the long term, sell it later, and hopefully the value will be higher later on, and the difference between what we spent to buy it and what we earned when we sold it would be our profits, creating a future wealth for us. Some of the most common commodities that are used for investing are securities and real estate. Securities is a term that refers to those financial instruments such as stocks, mutual funds, and bonds, and real estate refers to houses or businesses. Why should we invest? Why is it an important thing? The reason is if we do not invest our money, then we either spend it or keep it as cash. There's no third thing we can do with it. So if we spend the money, it reduces our current and future wealth. So we would have less money now, which means we would have less money in the future. On the other side, if we keep it as a cash, either keep it in the attic, keep it under the pillow, or take it to the bank and keep it in a checking account that doesn't give us any interest rate or what have you, then the money loses its buying power over time because of inflation. Every year in this country, general price level rises by 2.5%, which means that same amount of money buys 2.5% fewer goods and products next year or every year. So to prevent our money losing its buying power or purchasing power, we need to invest our money for the long term. Back to this, the reason why the rate of growth is a minus 2.5% here is because inflation rate is 2.5% and inflation erodes the purchasing power of money. So therefore we have to add a minus sign there as it's a negative growth. On the other side, instead of keeping $100 in cash, if this person, same individual, invests his money, then it will buy $630 worth of goods and services that he buys today when he reaches the retirement age. That is the enormous difference. And how we ended up with this is this exact same formula as in the last slide. So instead of minus 2.5 for inflation, here you are adding the actual rate of growth for the investment. So here I made an assumption that the investments of this individual grew by 7% every year, which is an acceptable moderate rate of return. And I assume that the inflation rate will be 3% throughout those years on average. So the difference between the two rates, 7 minus 3 equals 4%, and that's the rate of real growth that you need to plug into this formula to end up with $630. So to sum up, if a person keeps his $100 bill uninvested, then when this 18-year-old reaches the retirement, then his $100 bill will buy what $30 buy today. Whereas if he invests into some moderate return investments even, his $100 bill will buy or will become $630, what 630 buys today. So this notion is called compounding. So 630 becomes a large number. It's more than 6 times the original money invested because of the power of compounding, which is the notion that the money grows and then the grown money grows again and the growth of the growth grows again, and it just compounds like this over time. That's why it's an enormously powerful. So let's do a practice, since this is such an important thing. Calculate what $150 becomes in 10 years if it is invested in an investment that yields 5% a year return. So you're simply entering the data. You can either use the formula I shared with you and manually calculate it, or you can actually use online calculators as well. I just provided a link here for one of those online calculators called Compound Interest Calculator. And it looks like this, and this is how you enter: $150 initial investment, monthly contribution none, number of years 10, interest rate 5%, and then you hit, and this is what you end up with in 10 years. Your $100 becomes $244. On the other side, if you do the exact same thing, but you also add $100 to your investment every month, then look what happens. So you enter the same things, and in this case, your initial investment is still $150, but you also added $100 to your portfolio every month, and then you hit, and you'll end up with $15,335. An enormous difference between the. That's why compound interest is so powerful, and that's why Albert Einstein famously said that compound interest is the eighth wonder of the world. He who understands it earns it. He who doesn't pays it. Please keep this motto in your mind. This is a fantastic saying. Here, lastly, I'm providing a video that explains the notion of compound interest. Once you understand the enormous growth power of compound interest to make money grow really, really fast over time, then you will capture the essence of the reason why we need to invest our money, which is the first step in personal finance. So I will conclude this first segment here, and then continue with the second audio presentation below.